kitchen. My name is Monica Oslanda Moreno. I am a registered dietitian in sunny Miami, although right now it is dark outside as it is the evening time. My company is called Essence Nutrition, and you can follow along with me at Eat Like Monica. So tonight is very exciting because in T-minus 1 week is Thanksgiving, and this is awesome because we are going to bring you a Thanksgiving survival guide. So let us get started with all the good stuff. I would say the good and the bad, but it's really only just the good stuff. So we will get started with tip number 1 for your Thanksgiving. Treat your Thanksgiving holiday like any other day. People do this thing where they decide they're not going to eat breakfast or lunch and they're going to starve themselves until dinner. You are going to roll up to your Thanksgiving and eat your grandmother. Yes, you're going to be very hungry. So to avoid that, treat Thanksgiving like a Monday. You have your breakfast, you have your lunch, and you might even eat a snack if you have a very late dinner. So just organize it, keep your head on, and don't save up those calories or that eating for the meal because you're going to gorge. So for example, what would be a really nice, nutritious breakfast for you to eat on Thanksgiving Day? Well, it's something you can actually prepare the night before, and you can do this with your kids or without them. Super fun. It is our Monte Fresh Banana Chia Pudding, and then you make it overnight. So let's go through how to make it. You're going to start out with a mason jar, mostly because they have lids and because they look very cute on social media. You're going to mash up a couple bananas and put them in the jar. Layer them on in there. Nice. Now, these Del Monte Fresh bananas are full of potassium and magnesium and flavor and fun. We don't even have to use all of them. We may layer them. Let's get crazy. Then you're going to add your milk of choice. I have unsweetened almond milk. You always want to make sure your nut milk says unsweetened, or else there could be added sugar in there. And you're going to add that on in there, about halfway. Then I like to add the chia seeds. You can add those before or after. So we got 4 tablespoons of chia seeds, lots of vitamin E and zinc and fiber, protein, healthy fat, and omega-3 fatty acids. Go them in there. Alrighty. And then we add a little bit of vanilla extract. Smells amazing. Put that in there. Fabulous. And you can top it off with the rest of the milk. And if you want, you can even mix it up. Now, what happens is, overnight, the chia seeds gelatinize and they become a pudding, but there's no added sugar in it, which is amazing. So I'm going to show you what it looks like when we take overnight time lapse. 1 second. Go! Fabulous. So, as you can see, the chia seeds have gelatinized overnight. They've expanded and they've become a very nutritious breakfast. Now, it's not done yet because this is just kind of bland looking. We have to jazz it up with even more fiber, vitamin C, and plant power with our Del Monte Fresh Cut berries. And let me tell you why I prefer these to many other berries is because I do not have time to be hulling strawberries. So these are fresh, already done for you, easy peasy, Thanksgiving breakfast done. You can batch cook these with a lot of people if you have a large family or just for yourself. Voila, Thanksgiving is done for breakfast. Hooray, hooray. Okay, now we're gonna take some questions from you guys that are pertinent to Thanksgiving and nutrition in general. Let's see what you guys have been chirping about. What's a good oil to use for cooking? So you're getting smitten in your kitchen. You're thinking about oils. So a lot of people used to cook with vegetable oil, and that was a common thing to do. Now we prefer to cook at high temperatures with avocado oil. Why? Because avocado oil has a very high smoke point, whereas something like olive oil, which is healthy because they both have omega-3 fatty acids and not so many omega-6s, which we get too much of, olive oil is a very low smoke point, so you want to use that for salad dressings and sauces and things like that. Also, avocado oil has a very mild taste, so it doesn't really offend a lot of people, and it's very rare to be allergic to avocado oil, so that's really nice as well. Now, moving on to another question, because it's Thanksgiving and we are feeling festive. Ooh, how do we make a healthy gravy? Okay, so traditionally gravy is the animal fats that drip, and then you add in white flour and butter. So I am not super pleased with that combination. So how can you healthify it? You can still use the liquid from your animal, and that actually has a lot of vitamins and minerals in there because it came from an animal, and maybe some protein. And you can whisk in, instead of white flour, which is refined and not good for your body, some almond flour. If you're allergic to nuts, you can use coconut flour or even a chickpea flour to thicken it up. Instead of butter, you can use olive oil or even some avocado oil. Okay. So now we are going to move on to another tip. So speaking of healthy swaps like we did for our gravy, how do you do this on Thanksgiving? A lot of people kind of bug out and think, I don't know what to do with all my Thanksgiving favorite meals that honor my grandmother, my grandfather, all these amazing people in my family. They're all really unhealthy. Should I just make them and bite the bullet? Well, you can pretty much healthify any recipe these days. Whether it's gravy, whether it's a pie, whether it's cookies, anything of the sort, you can always swap in something like almond flour or chickpea flour. Instead of using shortening, you can use avocado oil. And you can always add nutrient density by adding things like Del Monte Fresh fruits and vegetables to something that wouldn't otherwise have it. For example, stuffing is usually made with a lot of white bread, right? It's white bread, oil, and butter, and some seasoning. Del Monte Fresh has a stuffing mix that is already done for you and cut up, and it's amazing. It's parsley and onion, it tastes amazing, it smells amazing, and you just add in some almond flour and spices and olive oil, instant stuffing, and you added a lot of plant power and nutrition in there quite seamlessly. If you need any healthification swaps, ideas, or anything like that, holler at us on Instagram or Facebook and we'll do our best to get back to you. So your recipes are Thanksgiving perfect. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to another Thanksgiving recipe. This one is designed to be your appetizer if you're doing something for hors d'oeuvres, but you could also do it as a side dish. We don't want to pigeonhole you. We are doing Del Monte Fresh avocado boats. So we're going to sail away and use a lot of good stuff here. Righty, here we go. So we have the beautiful scooped avocado, and we have these little boats. Now, don't flip them in water. They're not very buoyant. So we have a few varieties that we wanted to share with you today, something for everyone. First, and I'll demo this for you, we have the Veggie Lovers one. So you would take your little Del Monte Fresh avocado, and you need to make a little more room and scoop out some innards in here just so you can stuff it really nicely. So I'm just using a tablespoon, but you could use any kind of spoon. And what I would do to not have any food waste is save these little innards, okay? Because number one, people like me like to graze while they cook, and you can graze on these with a little salt and lemon. It tastes amazing. Or you can make them into a guacamole or an avocado hummus, or you can just eat them plain or do an avocado chocolate mousse with them for dessert. So save your innards. Okay, next we're gonna stuff them with a little feta. And feta is awesome because it has protein, calcium, vitamin D, and since it is not made from cow's milk, it has less lactose and is suitable for most people who are lactose intolerant. Then we're gonna use some cucumber, which is one of the more hydrating vegetables, super delicious. Here we go, layer in our cucumber, amazing. And then to top it off with some antioxidant and lycopene vitamin C power, we have our Del Monte Bonbon tomatoes, and we have a cucumber overboard. Don't worry everybody, we got this. Now I want to describe to you these other little avocado boats that we have that are really, really adorable. First we're gonna talk about the meat lover one. Okay, so this one, what we did is we took some prosciutto, we baked it in the oven to get a little crispy, and we added a sauteed egg white, which is pure protein, and then we added some anti-inflammatory pungent chives that are delicious, and look at that rich color, that rich vitamin color here, amazing. All right, we'll put this one back, and then we have the more Italian-inspired one, that's a meat and cheese lover, if that's your thing, where we use that baked prosciutto from the oven with feta cheese and some Del Monte Fresh cantaloupe. Amazing. So it is really, look how gorgeous that is. Something for every palate, as either, like I said, an appetizer or a dessert. Okay, so we're gonna put this back. Alrighty. Hooray, hooray, hooray. Okay. Question time again. Let's see what you guys have been commenting. Awesome. Okay, what is the number one thing we should remember on Thanksgiving? My answer is actually not nutritional. It's to be thankful. You're giving thanks to be alive, to be healthy, to be with your family, to even have the ability to eat nourishing foods. Now, food-wise, I want you to remember that it's just like any other day. It is not a time to binge because then you're going to feel really guilty and shameful and binge again. It's a time for mindfulness, which is being present in the moment, and making conscious, exciting decisions about your food and your family and what you serve and what you bring. So let's see what we have next on the docket. Awesome. Okay, so So now we're gonna move into the salad course of the meal, because you would never dream of having people over and not serving a vegetable, right? So we're gonna take you through our Autumn Del Monte Fresh salad, and it is one of my favorites. So first you will start out with a big bountiful bowl of spinach, because you are Popeye, and spinach is an awesome source of vitamin K, vitamin C, iron, and it is quite delicious. But it wouldn't be fall without some of my most favorite Del Monte fall fun foods here. So we are going to mix in some Del Monte apples that have been sliced, and I must admit we did feed some of them to our very hungry Cavalier King Trust Spaniel afoot, which is good because Thanksgiving is a time for giving and philanthropy. Then we're gonna add some omega-3 fatty acids in the form of walnuts. Healthy fat, fiber, protein, and those anti-inflammatory fatty acids. So we'll sprinkle these on here. Awesome. Excuse me, you get back in there, and voila, perfect. Now, the pièce de résistance, one of my favorite Del Monte Fresh products, is these butternut squash noodles that have already been spiralized for you, because I am all about kitchen laziness for myself. So these are awesome, and what we did is we roasted these at 350 for a little bit with some pomegranate seeds to give them even more vitamin C and antioxidant power. So we're gonna load those all up on in here, give you some more fiber, more complex carbohydrate for the ages. And last but not least, what would a salad be without a dressing? Now, I would tell you, you should buy dresses and not dressing, because store-bought bottled salad dressing is probably not going to be good for you. There's going to be things like, oh, I don't know, fillers and salts and sugars in there. So what you want to do is make your own. I got this nifty little machine. How fun is this? And basically how you make a good dressing is you can start with an olive oil, but this one actually is simply Dijon mustard, salt, pepper, and apple cider vinegar. So I'm going to pop it off and dress my salad up in my love. Now, of course, if you want to get very culinary, you're supposed to massage vegetables and massage things like spinach, because when you massage them, it breaks down the bitter enzymes, and that's how you get a really shiny, flavorful, beautiful fall, autumn, Thanksgiving salad. And imagine if you rolled up with this to someone's house, they'd be like, wow, you must have spent all day doing that. And you're like, no, I just wanted to make sure we got some vegetables at our meal. So, oh, great, awesome. Okay, we have another question coming at us. So let's see what you guys have been chirping about on the page. Ooh, okay. And by the way, if you have more questions, please comment in, and hopefully we'll get to them. That'll be really exciting. What can I use to replace butter for when cooking? Okay, so you could use something like an avocado oil, or you could use ghee, okay? And ghee is clarified butter, which means that the lactose has been boiled off of it, which makes it suitable for people who are lactose intolerant. It has, if you buy organic and grass-fed ghee, which I recommend, has more omega-3 fatty acids, which are super anti-inflammatory and good for you. Moving right along. No other questions for now. All right, so let's talk turkey, right? It's Thanksgiving. Here's the thing about turkey, okay? Turkey, everyone says, oh, well, should I eat it with white meat, dark meat, glaze? All right, if you want to eat the white meat, that's fine. The only difference is the white meat has less fat, true, but we now know that fat is not a devil to your diet as previously thought. And the dark meat actually has more vitamins and minerals because they live in the fattier tissues of the bird. Now, I don't normally advocate for glazes because having the turkey and just having that protein is really more than enough. But if you want to do a glaze, you're going to want to use a Del Monte Fresh pineapple to make that glaze instead of something from a can. You want to use a fresh, earth, bountiful fruit pineapple. Okay, so we are good on turkey talk. Question time again. Let's see what's happening. Okay. Oh, I do know, I've been getting a message that I know some people can't hear. We are going to post a PDF of all of the recipes tomorrow on fruits.com. I tend to not use like exact recipes because I don't do really well with rules. I don't know how I passed organic chemistry. So don't worry, we're going to post this as a video and perhaps the volume will be better. And all of your recipes are going to be in precise explanation tomorrow on fruits.com. So visit it afterwards and you'll get all the info. Now, my favorite part of the meal is dessert. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, this dietitian is going to make dessert? Well, yes I am. So let's do a blueberry pie using Del Monte Fresh blueberries. Might as well call it a vitamin C pie, actually, because that is what it has. And blueberries are some of the most antioxidant-rich foods we have out there. If I haven't mentioned this before, antioxidants prevent oxidation on cells, which is cell damage, which is basically how cells get diseased from a lot of different sources. So instead of buying a store-bought crust, which is white flour, white sugar, shortening, or butter, we made our own super easy. What we did is we took some pecans, you could use walnuts, almonds, any kind of nut, crushed them on up, and pushed them into a pan with some oats, and you could use avocado oil, coconut oil, and a lot of spices. I wish you could smell this because it smells absolutely autumnal and festive. It smells amazing, and guess what? You can even bake some Del Monte Fresh vegetables into there. I know that sounds really weird, but in the oven, you will not taste it. So then we're gonna use this pie filling. Now, instead of using a pie filling from a can, we just use some Del Monte Fresh blueberries in all of their glory with a little bit of maple syrup, and then I was gonna add some anti-inflammatory cinnamon to the mix, and we're just gonna scoop that on into this pie. Oh, amazing. All of the juices are just running over like all of your blessings running over, your cup runneth over. Voila. Now, we are not going to do a lattice on this pie because you can actually cut back on the carbohydrates in the meal by leaving the top off the crust. And as this bakes, you're not even gonna need it. It's gonna become so ooey gooey, melty, and succulent that you'll never even miss the top part of the pie. So there you have it. And let me show you what it looks like baked. I think I just heard the oven go that our pie is ready. And voila, oh my gosh, this looks amazing. I hope this isn't that hot. Okay, good. Alrighty, wow, okay. So I'm gonna show you the top of this in 1 second. It looks fantastic. So as you can see, it is all baked together. Oh, it is warm and it smells amazing. And it's a really nutrient-dense dessert for you, the family, for everyone. And you saw how easy that was to make? You can make 10 of those if you're hosting or going to a really large event. Very impressive, if I do say so myself. So we are going to take another question from a devoted listener who says that sometimes I feel guilty even though I shouldn't on Thanksgiving. How do you overcome that? Well, there's a concept that we like to call mindful eating, which is being present in the moment and truly savoring your eating experience, okay? And number 2, remember that even if you ate on Thanksgiving every single unhealthy food under the sun, it is one day out of the 365 days a year, and you should not feel guilty about that. Now, if you employ mindful eating, which is conscious eating, into your food decisions, then you've already thought on Thanksgiving, listen, I know it's an indulgent day. I'm gonna eat a lot of vegetables. I'm gonna eat an autumn salad. I'm gonna have butternut squash, Del Monte Fresh noodles. I'm going to have avocado boats. But I'm not gonna deny myself my favorite pie from my aunt because it's not healthy or perfect. Absolutely not. You should have already budgeted for that so you can savor it and enjoy every bite. And then the next day, it's a distant memory. It happened and it was awesome and you savored it and that was all, okay? So that is how you can prevent feeling guilty or shame, is being mindful, being present, and being appreciative, and realizing that if you slip up a little bit, it's not that big of a deal. You get right back on that nutrition horse. Now it's time for another question. Okay, what do you look forward to in a healthy Thanksgiving side? So I'm always on the hunt for vegetables because you need 7 to 10 servings a day, and Del Monte Fresh vegetables are a really easy way to get those in, especially with something like fresh cuts that are already done for you, and I could easily eat this whole thing by myself. So 50% of your plate should be vegetables at any time, whether it's Thanksgiving or whether it's tomorrow, Friday, who cares, okay? So I like this green bean almondine that my family makes, which is basically roasted green beans and an avocado oil with slivered almonds. I know some people add a cream of mushroom soup. I would just add regular plain, shiitake mushrooms, tons of vitamin D in there, and that would be one of my favorite vegetable side dishes. Okay, let's see if we got any other questions, or are we gonna move on to our next tip? Okay, So our next tip is about, my favorite one. This is about spreading the good love of nutrition. A lot of people also experience anxiety around Thanksgiving because they end up with a lot of leftovers. And some of these leftovers are foods that aren't so healthy, and you feel compelled to eat them so they don't go to waste. So what can you do? You can be the hostess with the mostess and provide all of your guests, or if you are someone else's guest, you can bring these if you ask politely, with to-go containers. And this is their party favor. And it is awesome because that way it absolves you of all the leftovers that you do not need. Everyone gets to go home with a little bit of fun, and then it's a really good portion control for them, for you, and it's a vehicle into something we love to do at Monte Fresh, which is meal prepping, which is part of mindful eating because it's anticipating hunger and food needs in the future. So it doesn't get more festive than a to-go container. Am I right? I'm right. So we're going to take another question from a listener. What's the best tip you learned from your family for Thanksgiving? I have to think about this. Alrighty. The best tip that I learned is involving kids in the cooking process, okay? So if your child never gets to see fresh fruits and Del Monte fresh fruits and vegetables being prepared, they're just going to assume it came out of the sky and there's not going to be a lot of thought with it. You really want kids to connect to their food, connect to how and where things are grown. And that's very important to us at Del Monte Fresh. So as much as you can, involve children, family, and friends in the cooking, preparation, or table setting process. Of course, we don't want little kids with knives, but it's super easy for them to mash bananas. It's super easy for them to scoop out avocado or to make little cheese crumbles. And it's a family, beautiful bonding event, and that's something that I had with my family that I think is so precious and so wonderful as a Thanksgiving memory. Okay, another question. Let's see. Joanne, my mother-in-law, sounds so fun. Well, yes, she is my mother-in-law. It's extremely fun, as a matter of fact. Okay, so tip number 4, cooking and planning in advance. A lot of people have a lot of suffering because they are so freaked out about having all these people over. And I know that you can have, okay, I'm inviting 10, and then all of a sudden 20 people are coming because everyone invited their aunt and their friend and their mom and their mother-in-law. It is okay. Cooking, honestly, for 3 people is the same as cooking for 30. It's just bigger amounts and a little more planning. So what you need to do is now, a week before Thanksgiving, you start getting organized. You make your recipes. You have, therefore, your lists of groceries to either take to the store, or if you're like me, you can get your groceries delivered. What a time to be alive. So you know exactly what Del Monte Fresh things you're going to use and how you're going to prepare them. Now, as much as you can, you're going to prepare things a couple days before that you do not need to bother with on the day of Thanksgiving. For example, we could have done that pie crust 3 days ago. No big deal, right? Okay, so then you want to time your oven. So I only have a couple ovens, so you can see I don't have 14 ovens. So you want to time, okay, what time is this going in, this going out? What am I going to saute? And you just need to have it all kind of come together and schedule and calendar it. It's also helpful for some people to set alarms so they know, okay, this is going to be done in 10 minutes, this is going to be done in 20 minutes, and proper planning at the end of the day is really going to save you a lot of heartache, okay? And then another really good tip is don't try to cut corners because you weren't organized by eating things out of, cans or processed food. Always try to use as much fresh as possible to preserve the nutrient density of your meal. Okay, more question time. Doing the turkey trot over here. Okay, cool. So how can, I guess somebody was listening to me, how can little kids help in Thanksgiving? There's so much to be done and it's too much work. Well, yeah, it's too much work for that day, for Thursday, for 4 hours before people come over. Do as much as you can with your kids and list them, okay? Make them sing for their supper a couple days before. So you know their abilities, you're their mom or their caretaker, and you know what they safely can and can't accomplish. They will feel so empowered if you get them to do something for you. So pretty much everything we've done here is pretty kid-friendly. If you think about, all right, Sam, you mash up the bananas with your hand. You pour the almond milk into this. For the salad, you mix together this mustard and this apple cider vinegar. And what's nice for me about not using recipes is you don't have to be so militant about, oh, you used a 1/4 cup too much, it's gonna be so wrong. Just say, squirt a little mustard in there, Joe. You got this. Oh, okay, that might be a little too much mustard. We'll add some more vinegar to balance it out. And that allays any anxiety in your kids that you would have, if you're like super strict about the recipes. And that way they feel involved, it's fun, it's bonding, and they are free help for you, which is very, very exciting. Ooh, we got another question. What are other good healthy dessert options for Thanksgiving? So I touched upon this before a little. You can take your Del Monte Fresh avocado and turn it into a mousse. Not a mousse, like a chocolate mousse, okay? So you can take your Del Monte Fresh banana, your Del Monte Fresh avocado, you blend them up in the blender, and you add cacao powder, which is a great source of iron and magnesium, and it's actually a rich chocolate flavor, but has no sugar, okay? You're gonna wanna add a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of salt, and then if you need to sweeten it, you can add honey or maple syrup to taste, and that's a great chocolate mousse. And of course, you can decorate it and tell kids it's a dirt cup, and it's really, really infinitely fun. Another one of my favorite Thanksgiving desserts is freezer pumpkin fudge, which you do by taking, you can take canned pumpkin in this instance, or just, fresh pumpkin all pureed up, and you put it with a little almond flour, some vanilla, some oats, some nuts and seeds and cinnamon, maybe a little olive oil. You mix it all up. You can add honey if you like, and you press it down into a glass container or a freezer-friendly container. Oh, and you can do that pecan crust that we did with the blueberry pie on the bottom, and you freeze it. So it's no bake, there's nothing raw in there. And then first of all, it lasts for months, which is amazing. And second of all, you can take it out and then tell your kids, hey, you wanna melt some chocolate on this and pour it on top for me? And then it's gonna be chocolate freezer fudge, goes back in the freezer. Yep, amazing, super easy, sensational dessert. Next question. What is a good vegetarian meal you can make for Thanksgiving? Okay. So there's different types of vegetarians. Some vegetarians eat fish, some eat eggs, some eat, none of the above, no animal products. So if we're erring on the side of no animal products, truly vegetarian or vegan as they say, you can do a tempeh or a tofu meal, instead of the turkey. Now, plain tempeh and plain tofu doesn't generally taste extremely delicious, but you can make that pineapple glaze. You can use a very easy mustard sauce or something like the salad dressing to marinate it. You bake it in the oven just like a turkey, and it's hot, fresh, delicious, and that would be your protein. But of course, as we discussed, 50% of your plate should be vegetables. So then you're gonna wanna do something like the autumn spinach salad, or those green beans, almondines. Or another really amazing, easy roasted veggie treat would be something like taking our Del Monte Fresh cauliflower, putting a little mustard and turmeric on there, roast it in the oven, and you can make a cauliflower mashed potato out of that with a hand blender and some veggie broth and spices. For a starch perspective, well, easy peasy. You got butternut squash Del Monte Fresh noodles already waiting for you in your fridge. So you can saute those up with those pomegranate seeds or roast them, and it's a lo mein stir fry. Meal complete. We're gonna do another question. Is it true that you shouldn't eat standing up? Well, I will tell you that you should not eat standing up, but it's not for a health reason or a safety reason. Your body is upright, so it's not a choking hazard. And by the way, you still digest food even when you're hanging upside down. There's something called peristalsis that happens no matter what, which is the movement of your intestine and muscular contractions. However, here's why I frequently admonish my husband for eating standing up. Because I don't believe that eating standing up is mindful. You're not present. You're not focused so much on the food because you have to work to support yourself to stand up, or you're standing in front of the fridge and you're taking things out of the fridge, or you're looking at your phone. I believe it's mindless. So I'd rather you sit down so all of your mental and physical energy is devoted to your meal. Another question. What is a good type of bread to have with your Thanksgiving meal? Okay, so in the realm of breads, there is the good and the not so good. I prefer locally milled flours to commercial ones. However, I also like some brands of sprouted grains, and by sprouting the grain, it means that we soak it overnight and we kind of get a little more nutrition out of them, which is nice. Now you'll hear, oh, it needs to be whole wheat. I actually prefer sourdough. Why? Because sourdough is a fermented food, which means that there were live bacteria and cultures added to that sourdough starter that persist even after baking. And why do I want bacteria in my food, you might ask? Because there's good bacteria. And we want a very favorable, good bacterial balance called the microbiome in our systems and our bodies. And eating sourdough can contribute to that. Now, word to the wise. Even a healthy bread or a quinoa or sweet potatoes, any kind of starch, can result in too many carbohydrates and perhaps is not healthy for some. So you're gonna need to take that into account in the realm of bread. But if you have any good sourdough, please send it my way. I am ready. We will move on to our next question. Okay, let's see. How do you please everybody these days with Thanksgiving? And what I believe you mean by that is people are like, I'm gluten-free, I'm vegetarian, I'm paleo, I'm whatever. Okay, you're never gonna please everybody. Go on Yelp.com and look up your favorite restaurant and you will find bad reviews, okay? Because somebody didn't like it. So you may want to just abandon that you're not going to please 100% of people, but you can be as accommodating as possible and beforehand text, email, or the millennials' worst nightmare, the phone call, everybody and say, hi, I'm so excited to have you for Thanksgiving. Do you have any dietary restrictions or whatever? And then what you're going to want to do is get organized. Fuel all of that data onto an Excel spreadsheet or a piece of paper, that's fine, and think, okay, I'm not doing nuts here, I'm not doing dairy here, and then you can come up with creative alternatives that can be used across the board. Now, of course, if someone's vegetarian, you're still gonna make turkey because that's gonna be more common, but you can also supplement with a baked tempeh or a tofu. If someone is dairy-free, you can do a couple of dairy-free desserts and a couple of traditional desserts. Don't freak out, don't lose your head. This is a time for festivity and excitement, okay? This is all about happiness. Do your best. And like I said, you're not gonna please everybody, so don't even try. All right, now our next tip is about how do I make sure, if I'm not, cooking the Thanksgiving, that there's something for me to eat there. Easy. Bring a healthy dish to your host. Call them and say, I'm really excited to come. I'm gonna bring my favorite healthy recipe. And they will be so thankful, trust me. Okay, so you can roll up with any of the recipes that we have created here tonight. And usually I like to tell people to bring a vegetable because you can be pretty sure that your host is definitely gonna do a turkey and they're definitely doing dessert and they're probably gonna do some starches. Where most people tend to fall short is serving enough vegetables. So you can bridge that gap yourself by bringing something yourself. Now, then there's me, Miss Lazy Kitchen over here, I really don't want to go to the grocery store the day before Thanksgiving and potentially lose a finger in fighting with people at the grocery store because it's so crowded. Why don't I just bring a Monte Fresh tray of fruits and vegetables? Let's see what we have in our fridge. I believe I have one that I'm going to be bringing to my family Thanksgiving next week. Wow. Ooh, the fridge is getting very, very wide here. So here are some examples. We have our Del Monte Fresh fruit tray. This is basically eating the rainbow, okay? As you can see, there's tons of color here, which means there are tons of vitamins, minerals, and hydration. So we got bromelain in our Del Monte pineapple, we got lycopene, we got vitamin A, we got vitamin C, we got resveratrol in these grapes. Perfect, amazing. And you show up to Thanksgiving with this, and someone will be like, oh, thank gosh you brought the crudité, or as I like to call it, the crudité, because I totally forgot to make vegetables. So this is what I call the crudité, which is the crudité, which is just raw vegetables and super, super festive, lots of color, lots of fiber, which is amazing. So now we'll take it back to some questions. What is better, Monica? Maple syrup or agave? Okay, so we can discuss both. They are both sugar. Now, your body isn't going to say, oh, she's using organic sugar. I'm going to be the picture of health. Your body looks at sugar pretty much the same, whether it comes from white sugar, organic sugar, maple syrup, or agave. However, you will note that I prefer to use honey or maple syrup rather than agave. Agave has a very high what's called fructose content, and it's very concentrated. And what that does is it research is supporting that it may contribute to inflammatory and fat storing processes on your liver. So I prefer to cook and use honey and maple syrup because they are super sweet, so you only need a little of them, and they tend to be expensive, so they're pretty self-limiting in that respect as well. Another question, next question. I've heard you can use avocado in baking. How does that work? Yep. So, remember how we talked about how avocado oil has a really high smoke point? Avocados tend to bake really well too. One of my favorite avocado hot recipes that you can do is avocado fries. So what you would do is take almond flour, take a little avocado oil, and take some spices, some salt, some pepper, oregano, paprika, cayenne, mix it all up. And you can even bread them with an egg if you like it a little more wet, or if it's wet enough from the avocado, and you just roll it in that bread mixture, and you pop it in the oven, and it's all crispy and delicious, and it's avocado fries. Amazing, right? Next question we have. What is the best advice you give your clients? Gosh, how do I sort through what the very best advice is? I'll use something that I've been saying for a little bit now. I really enjoy metaphors. You are the CEO of your own body. You know what affects you, what feels good, what doesn't. You know when you're hungry, you know when you're full. You know what foods make you feel empowered and energized and which don't. You should honor that every single day. Now, you should also honor that your body requires certain nourishment, which is why I became a registered dietitian, because I thought nutrition science was cool. But if food were only about purely nutrition science, we would just, like Pez machines, eat, comes out, that's it, no emotions. We're humans, and that's really special, and I appreciate that. So again, you are in control of food, food is not in control of you, and you know best what works for your body. Okay, another question. White meat or dark meat, which is better? So we said this a little before, but I'll say it again because it is very important. Back in the day, we used to think that white meat was better, no matter what, because it was the lowest in fat. It was basically pure protein. Now we know that humans actually require a little more fat than we had been recommending or thinking was safe or ideal. So, dark meat, which